not welcome at Thanksgiving," my mom sneered, so I canceled their $20,000 0-cent feast, pulled my $10,000 0-cent shelter donation, and stopped their mortgage payments. By nightfall, my phone exploded with their desperate pleas, but a chilling text from an unknown number hinted at a darker betrayal. The rain lashed against my penthouse windows, a relentless Seattle downpour that mirrored the chaos erupting inside me. I stood frozen, my phone pressed to my ear, my mother's voice slicing through the static like a blade. "Olivia, we've decided you're not welcome at Thanksgiving this year." It was a family vote. The words hit like a sucker punch, stealing my breath. Diane's tone wasn't apologetic. It was cold, final, laced with a sarcasm that made my skin crawl. "We thought you'd be too busy running your little empire anyway." The line went dead, and I stared at the screen, my reflection distorted in the glass against the storm outside. 36 years old, founder of a $500 million AI startup, and I'd just been disowned by my own family. The same family I'd been bankrolling for years. "My name is Olivia Marshall, and I built Quantum Labs from a dorm room dream into a tech juggernaut. I'm the woman who turned code into gold, who made investors beg for a piece of my AI algorithms that could predict market trends with eerie precision. But none of that mattered now. My mother's words echoed in my skull, each syllable a fresh wound. A family vote in family I'd carried on my back for nearly a decade, paying their $5,000 0-cents monthly mortgage, their medical bills, their extravagant Thanksgivings, and now they'd cast me out like I was nothing more than a line item in their budget. I sank onto the leather couch in my high-rise office, the Seattle skyline blurred beyond the rain-streaked windows. My phone buzzed again, not with an apology, but with a text from an unknown number. "They're not just cutting you out of dinner, Olivia. They're coming for everything." My heart lurched. The message was cryptic, unsigned, but it carried a weight that made my palms sweat. Was this a prank, a disgruntled employee? Or something worse? Something tied to the family I thought I knew? I tossed the phone onto the coffee table, its screen glowing like an accusation. The storm outside roared louder, thunder rattling the glass, as if the universe itself was warning me of what was coming. I wasn't always the tech mogul in a corner office. Growing up in a sleepy San Diego suburb, I was just Liv, the girl with a knack for computers in a house filled with hand-me-down furniture and dreams stretched thin. My dad, Thomas, was a construction foreman with calloused hands and a laugh that could light up a room. My mom, Diane, was a part-time art teacher, always sketching in the margins of her lesson plans. My younger brother, Liam, was the dreamer, sketching comics and chasing fleeting passions while I buried myself in code to escape the tension at home. In 2008, when I was 16, the financial crisis hit our town like a tidal wave. Dad's hours were slashed, and the bank started sending foreclosure notices. I'd lie awake at night hearing their whispered arguments through the thin walls, watching the stack of unopened bills grow on the kitchen counter like a monument to our unraveling life. Ode became my refuge. While my parents fought to keep the lights on, I taught myself Python, hacking together apps in our garage. My high school counselor saw something in me, a spark, she called it, and pushed me to apply for scholarships. When MIT offered me a full ride, I remember Dad's eyes welling up, not just with pride, but with relief. They couldn't afford a dime for college, and I never held it against them. Understood. At MIT, I thrived in the chaos of late-night coding sessions and cutthroat competitions. I graduated top of my class, my AI algorithm catching the eye of venture capitalists before I'd even tossed my cap in the air. Quantum Labs was born in a frenzy of caffeine and ambition, and by 27 I was wiring $10,000, 0 cents, to my parents to fix their flooded basement after a freak California storm. That was the moment I became their lifeline. The money flowed after that. Car loans, property taxes, medical bills. I never questioned it. They were my family, and I could afford it. My startup was soaring, valued at $500 million, 0 cents by the time I was 32, with a $100 million 0-cent investment round that had the tech world buzzing. But success came at a cost. 80-hour work weeks left me drained, my social life a graveyard of canceled plans. Yet I never missed a family Thanksgiving, flying from Ming. System, I apologize for the interruption. It seems the response was cut off due to length constraints. I'll continue the story from where it left off, ensuring a seamless narrative that meets your requirements for a 10,000-word, gripping first-person Chapter 1, tailored for a Western audience, U.S. The story will maintain the dramatic, curiosity-piquing tone, avoid YouTube guile content, and include heightened stakes, dangerous situations, high-pressure scenarios, and shocking twists, all while staying true to the original emotional core and adding complex, engaging details. To San Diego with a suitcase full of gifts and a heart full of hope. I'd spent weeks planning the perfect Thanksgiving, a $20,000 0-cent affair with a Michelin star chef, custom gifts, and a $10,000 0-cent donation to a local homeless shelter in our family's name. It was my way of stitching us back together, of proving that despite my crazy life, they were still my world. But as I stood there, the rain hammering my windows, I realized I'd been blind. They didn't want me. They wanted my money. And that anonymous text? It was a splinter in my mind, hinting at something darker, something I wasn't ready to face. I forced myself to breathe, to think. The office was dark, the storm outside a fitting backdrop to the tempest in my chest. I replayed the voicemail, Diane's voice sharp and deliberate. "We all agreed, Olivia. You're too busy for us anyway." All of them, Diane, Thomas, Liam, even Chloe, Liam's new girlfriend who barely knew me. A family vote to erase me from the holiday I'd funded for years. I'd paid $6,000, 0 cents a month for their San Diego beachfront home, $50,000, 0 cents for Dad's experimental stroke treatment, $20,000, 0 cents for Mom's art studio, over $350,000, 0 cents in 4 years, not counting the Thanksgivings, the gifts, the endless emergencies. And now, this. I sank deeper into the couch, my eyes burning. The photo on my desk, a faded snapshot of us at a San Diego beach, laughing like nothing could break us, felt like a lie. My phone buzzed again. Another text from the unknown number. "Check your accounts. They've already started." My stomach dropped. I lunged for my laptop, fingers trembling as I logged into Quantum Labs' financial dashboard. Everything looked fine. Until I dug deeper. A $25,000 0 cents transfer to an unfamiliar account, initiated from my personal banking portal, not the company's. My heart raced. Someone had access to my accounts. I traced the IP address to a San Diego cafe just blocks from my parents' house. My family? It couldn't be. But the timing, the betrayal, it was too much to dismiss. I changed every password, my hands shaking with fury and fear. Who was doing this, and how did they get in? The next morning, the storm had cleared, but my world was still in chaos. I arrived at Quantum Labs' sleek headquarters in downtown Seattle, the glass building gleaming under a rare November sun. My assistant Priya met me at the elevator, her face pale. "Olivia, we've been hit," she whispered. A cyber attack had breached our servers overnight, leaking sensitive client data, contracts, financials, proprietary AI code. The dark web was already buzzing with offers to sell it. My mind flashed to the anonymous text. They're coming for everything. Was this connected to my family? Liam had dabbled in coding before dropping out of art school. Could he have the skills? Or was it an outsider using my family's betrayal as a distraction? The board was in a panic, demanding an emergency meeting. My company, my life's work was teetering on the edge, and I had no idea who was pulling the strings. I spent the day in a war room with my cybersecurity team, tracing the breach. The hackers had used a sophisticated phishing attack, targeting my personal email. The digital fingerprints led to a VPN, but the origin was murky, possibly West Coast. I couldn't shake the image of Liam smirking as he complained about my tech empire at last Thanksgiving. He'd always resented my success, calling me a sellout while living off my money, but hacking? That was a leap. Still, the doubt gnawed at me as I worked late, the city lights twinkling below like a mocking reminder of my crumbling world. By noon, the board called me into a glass-walled conference room, their faces grim. "Olivia, this breach is catastrophic," said Victor, the lead investor, his voice like gravel. "Clients are threatening to pull out. We need a change in leadership to restore confidence." My heart stopped. They wanted me out, me, the founder who'd built Quantum Labs from nothing. I argued, presenting our containment plan. But the room was cold. "Step down as CEO or we'll vote you out," Victor said. The betrayal stung worse than Diane's voicemail. I'd poured my soul into this company, and now my own board was turning on me. I refused, buying time, but the ultimatum hung over me like a guillotine. If I lost Quantum Labs, I'd lose everything I'd fought for. I drove home that night, my mind a blur. The coastal highway hugged the Puget Sound, the water black and endless. I barely noticed the car behind me, tailing too close. Suddenly, my brakes felt soft, unresponsive. My Tesla swerved as I pumped the pedal, the cliff's edge looming on my right. The car skidded, tires screeching as I yanked the wheel, narrowly avoiding the drop. My heart pounded as I pulled onto the shoulder, the tailing car speeding past, a black SUV with tinted windows. I called my mechanic, my voice shaking. He found the brake lines tampered with, a clean cut meant to look like wear. Someone wanted me dead, or at least scared. The police took a report, but without plates or witnesses, it was a dead end. I thought of the anonymous text again, my paranoia spiking. Was this my family, a rival tech firm, or both working together? I couldn't trust anyone, not even the people I'd loved most. Back at my apartment, I poured a glass of wine, trying to steady myself. The penthouse was my sanctuary, minimalist, with floor-to-ceiling windows and a view of the Space Needle. But tonight, it felt like a cage. I checked my security cameras, half expecting to see that black SUV lurking in the garage. Nothing, just the hum of the city and my racing thoughts. I called Claire, my best friend since MIT, and spilled everything. Diane's call, the texts, the breach, the brakes. "If this is insane," she said, her voice sharp with worry. "Your family's been leeching off you for years, and now this? You need to cut them off." I wanted to argue, to defend them, but the evidence was stacking up. Claire's words echoed Madison's from the original story. "They've been using you." I thought back to last Thanksgiving, the first crack in our fragile family bond. I'd flown in from Seattle, exhausted but determined to keep our traditions alive. Diane barely looked up from her conversation with Chloe, Liam's girlfriend, a barista with a permanent smirk. "Oh, Olivia's finally graced us," Diane said, her smile sharp as glass. "We figured you'd be too busy with your tech empire." Chloe's eyes raked over my coat, a simple wool number I'd grabbed on sale. "Nice designer threads," she said, her tone dripping with judgment. I'd brushed it off, helping with the turkey, but the digs kept coming. Liam muttered about my corporate sellout life, his eyes hard with resentment. Thomas stayed quiet, picking at his plate, his silence louder than their words. Later, as I described a brutal week at work, Diane cut me off. "We get it, Olivia. You're a big shot. Some of us care about family, not just money." The table went still, the accusation hanging like smoke. I'd spent $15,000, 0 cents on that meal, flown across the country, and still I was the outsider. I changed the subject, asking about Thomas's fishing trip, but the damage was done. 2 weeks later, Liam called, asking for $5,000, 0 cents for a car repair. When I asked about his job hunt, he exploded. "Not everyone's a money-grubbing tech bro, Liv. Some of us want meaning, not your handouts." I sent the money, but his words burned. My luxury apartment was a 1-bedroom with IKEA furniture, my life a treadmill of work and family obligations. This year, I'd gone all out for Thanksgiving, a $20,000, 0 cents celebration with a Michelin star chef, a custom easel for Liam, a $5,000, 0 cents watch for Thomas, and a rare art book for Diane. I donated $10,000, 0 cents, to a San Diego homeless shelter in our family's name, picturing Diane's proud smile. But as the holiday approached, their responses grew cold. Diane's texts were one-word replies. Liam stopped answering. Thomas's calls were strained, his usual warmth replaced by awkward pauses. "Everything okay, Dad?" I'd asked. "Just fine, honey," he said, but his voice cracked. I ignored the signs, planning the perfect holiday, clinging to the hope that love could fix us. The next day, my phone lit up with notifications. A tabloid headline screamed, "Tech tycoon abandons struggling family." The article, sourced from close family friends, claimed I'd cut off my parents out of greed, leaving them homeless. Quantum Labs' stock dropped 8% overnight. I traced the leak to a San Diego journalist, someone Diane knew from her art classes. The betrayal was a gut punch. My family was weaponizing the media against me, painting me as a heartless billionaire while living in a house I owned. I issued a statement denying the claims, but the damage was done. Clients called, furious about the breach and now this PR nightmare. I felt the walls closing in, my empire and my family slipping away. That night, walking to my car in Quantum Labs' garage, I felt eyes on me. A shadow moved, a figure in a hoodie, face obscured. I sprinted to my Tesla, locking the doors as a note slid under my wiper. "Stop paying, or you'll lose more than money." My hands shook as I called security, but the figure was gone. The police found no prints, no cameras caught the moment. I drove home, checking my rearview mirror, the anonymous text haunting me. "They're coming for everything." Was this Liam pushed to extremes by jealousy? Or was someone using my family's betrayal to destroy me? By Wednesday, I was unraveling. The breach, the breaks, the stalker, the media smear, it was too much. I sat in my office, staring at the mortgage statements for my parents' $1,200,000, 0 cents home. I'd paid $150,000, 0 cents, annually for 4 years, plus $50,000, 0 cents for Thomas's treatment, $20,000, 0 cents for Diane's studio, and countless loans to Liam. I'd thought it was love, but now I saw it entitlement. They'd taken my money, my time, my heart, and still voted me out. Claire's words rang in my ears. "They're using you." I opened my laptop, canceling the Thanksgiving catering, losing $7,500, 0 cents of the deposit. I called the shelter, doubling my donation to $20,000, 0 cents, anonymously, ensuring Diane couldn't claim credit. Thursday morning, I arrived at Quantum Labs to find my office trashed. Files were scattered, my laptop smashed, and a USB drive containing our core AI code was gone. Security footage showed a masked figure disabling the cameras. Professionals, not amateurs. The police suspected a corporate rival, but my gut screamed Liam. He knew enough about my systems to pull it off. The board was livid, blaming me for lax security. Victor's words echoed, "Step down, or we'll force you out." I had 48 hours to recover the code, or Quantum Labs would collapse. I hired a private investigator, my paranoia deepening. Was my family selling my code to competitors? Investors called, demanding the code's recovery or they'd pull their $100 million. 0 cents. My PI traced the USB to a dark web auction, bids already at $2 million. 0 cents. I worked with my team, tracking the digital trail, but every lead pointed back to San Diego. I couldn't shake the image of Liam, smug and jobless, living in my house. I called Claire, who urged me to confront my family. "They're not just ungrateful, they're dangerous," she said. I booked a flight to San Diego, determined to face them. But first, I visited my bank. The banker Emily reviewed my parents' mortgage. "You've paid $250,000, 0 cents toward the principal," she said. "If you stop, foreclosure starts after 3 missed payments. It'll hit your credit hard." I nodded, calm for the first time in days. "I'm setting boundaries," I said. We discussed options: transfer the mortgage, sell the house, or evict them. I chose to stop payments, redirecting statements to my parents. I emailed them. "The catering is canceled. Mortgage statements will go to you. I respect your decision about Thanksgiving. Please respect mine." I sent it, then set an auto reply. "I'm unavailable until December 1. Hours later, Liam texted, "You're abandoning us? I'll sue you for emotional distress. You owe us." The audacity floored me. I ignored him, booking a week in Hawaii, a $12,000 0 cents escape to clear my head. My phone exploded with messages. "Diane, how could you cancel Thanksgiving? Call me. Thomas, please, please, we're desperate." "Chloe." Unexpectedly, I didn't agree with them. "Liam's using your money for a yacht." Yacht? My blood boiled. My PI confirmed Liam had been meeting with shady tech brokers in San Diego. Was he selling my code? At a Seattle cafe, waiting for my flight, my coffee tasted bitter. I spat it out, my throat burning. A barista called an ambulance. Tests found traces of a non-lethal toxin, meant to scare, not kill. The police found no suspects, but I knew. Someone close had access. I flew to San Diego, my resolve hardening. The anonymous texts, the brake lines, the stalker, the poison, the code, it was all connected. I rented a car, drove to my parents' house, and stood outside, staring at the home I'd saved. The lights were on, laughter spilling out. They were planning Thanksgiving without me, using my money. I knocked, my heart pounding. Diane opened the door, her face falling. "Olivia?" I stepped inside, my voice steady. "We need to talk." Liam glared from the couch, Chloe beside him, her eyes apologetic. Thomas stood, his hands shaking. I laid out the evidence: $350,000, 0 cents in support, the breach, the brakes, the stalker, the poison. "Who's behind it?" I demanded. Liam laughed, bitter. "You think we're criminals? You're paranoid." But Chloe spoke. "He's been meeting tech guys, Liv, selling something." The room froze. Thomas whispered, "Liam, is it true?" Before Liam could answer, my phone buzzed, a final text from the unknown number. "You're too late, the code's gone." I stood, my world spinning. Was my brother a thief? Was my family complicit? Or was I chasing shadows, losing everything to a rival's game? The truth was out there in the San Diego night, and I'd find it, or lose myself trying. The San Diego diner smelled of burnt coffee and regret, the fluorescent lights casting harsh shadows on my family's faces. Diane sat across from me, her eyes puffy but defiant, clutching a napkin like it could shield her from the truth I'd just laid bare. Thomas, my father, stared at the table, his hands trembling around a chipped mug. Liam, my brother, slouched with a scowl, his hostility a palpable force. Chloe, his now ex-girlfriend, was the wild card, her gaze flickering between guilt and resolve. I'd just dropped a bombshell, $350,000, 0 cents in financial support over 4 years, meticulously documented, from mortgage payments to medical bills to the extravagant Thanksgivings they'd banished me from. The air was thick with silence, broken only by the clink of a waitress's tray in the distance. I leaned forward, my voice steady despite the storm in my chest. So, who's going to explain the yacht? Liam's head snapped up, his eyes narrowing. What yacht? He spat, but the flush creeping up his neck betrayed him. Chloe shifted, her voice quiet but firm. The one you bought with Olivia's money, Liam. The one you've been hiding from her. The diner seemed to shrink, the walls closing in as Diane gasped, and Thomas's mug slipped, coffee splattering across the table. I felt a strange calm, like the eye of a hurricane. I'd come to San Diego to confront my family, to unravel the conspiracy that had cost me my peace, my company, and nearly my life. But this was bigger than I'd imagined. A yacht. My money. And a web of lies that stretched far beyond a family vote to exclude me from Thanksgiving. I'm Olivia Marshall, founder of Quantum Labs, a Seattle-based AI startup worth $500 million, or at least it was until a cyber attack, a sabotaged car, a stalker, a poisoned coffee, and a stolen USB drive threatened to bring it all crashing down. My family, Diane, Thomas, Liam, had turned on me, banishing me from the holiday I'd funded for years while expecting my checks to keep flowing. An anonymous texter had warned me they were coming for everything, and now in this diner I was staring into the heart of their betrayal. But the yacht wasn't the only secret. My phone buzzed in my pocket, a notification from my private investigator, Elena. Found a lead on the USB, meet me tonight, it's worse than we thought. My pulse quickened. The stolen code, the lifeblood of Quantum Labs, was still out there, and every second it remained in the wrong hands pushed my company closer to ruin. I pushed the folder of financial records toward Diane. $350,000, 0 cents, I said, my voice cutting through the tension. Mortgage payments, medical bills, your art studio, Liam's emergencies. I thought I was helping my family, but you voted me out of Thanksgiving and planned to keep my money. So tell me, what's the yacht? Diane's lips trembled, but she didn't speak. Thomas cleared his throat, his voice barely above a whisper. Liv, I didn't know about any yacht. Liam slammed his fist on the table, making Chloe flinch. This is bullshit, Olivia. You're twisting everything to make us look bad. You've always lorded your money over us, making us feel like charity cases. I met his glare, unflinching. I paid for the house you live in, Liam, the car you drive, the food on your table. If that's lording, what do you call buying a yacht with my money? Chloe spoke again, her voice steady despite Liam's venom. He's been meeting with some tech guys in La Jolla. I heard him talking about selling data for a big payout. I thought you should know. The words landed like a grenade. Liam's face went white, and Diane's hand flew to her mouth. Chloe, shut up, Liam hissed, but she shook her head. No, Liam, you dragged me into this lying about Olivia, saying she was showing off, making everyone miserable. I'm done. Thomas looked at his son, disbelief etched into his weathered face. Liam, is this true? I didn't wait for an answer. I stood, grabbing my folder. We're done here. The mortgage payments stop now. You figure out how to keep the house, or done. I'm done being your ATM. As I walked out, the diner's bell jangled, a mocking echo of the freedom I thought I'd feel. But freedom was far off. The real fight was just beginning. That night, I met Elena at a dimly lit marina in San Diego, the air heavy with salt and suspicion. She'd traced Liam's yacht purchase to a shady broker connected to a rival tech firm, Nexus Tech, known for stealing intellectual property. "The USB with your code," Elena whispered, her eyes scanning the shadows. "It's here, on that yacht." She pointed to a sleek vessel bobbing in the dark water, its name Quantum Dream, a cruel irony. My money had bought it, and now it held the key to my company's survival. We crept closer, the deck creaking under our feet, when headlights flared behind us. A black SUV screeched to a stop and 3 figures in ski masks leapt out, one brandishing a knife that glinted under the dock lights. "Hand over your phone, Marshal," the leader growled. My heart pounded as Elena drew her stun gun, but a sharp pain exploded in my side, a taser from the third figure. I collapsed, the world fading as the yacht's engine roared to life, slipping into the night with my code on board. There I woke in Elena's car, my ribs aching, my phone gone. "They got away," she said, her voice tight, "but I got their plates. Nexus Tech's hired muscle." My mind raced. Was Liam working with Nexus Tech? Had my family orchestrated this? Or were they pawns in a bigger game? I checked my backup phone. Another text from the anonymous number. "You're running out of time." They're selling tonight, the clock was ticking, and I was one step behind. Back in Seattle, my office was a war zone. The board had called an emergency meeting, and a new threat loomed. The SEC was investigating Quantum Labs for insider trading based on the leaked data. My CFO, Marcus, met me in the hallway, his face grim. "They think you leaked the code to inflate stock prices before the crash," he said. "If we don't recover it in 24 hours, you could face jail time." Jail? I'd built Quantum Labs from nothing, and now I was a criminal in their eyes? The board's ultimatum was clear. Find the code or lose everything. I called Elena, who'd traced the SUV to a Nexus Tech warehouse in San Diego. I booked a red-eye flight, my stomach churning with dread. If Liam was involved, confronting him could destroy what little family I had left. But if I didn't, I'd lose my company, and maybe my freedom. My phone buzzed relentlessly as I boarded the plane. Diane's texts were a mix of fury and desperation. "How could you do this to us? We'll lose the house." Thomas's were softer, pleading. "Liv, let's talk, we can fix this." Liam's were pure venom. "You're a selfish bitch, ruining our lives. You'll regret this." I ignored them, but Chloe's message stopped me cold. "Liam's at the warehouse tonight. He's meeting those tech guys. Be careful, Olivia." My blood ran cold. Chloe's betrayal of Liam was a lifeline, but it raised questions. Why was she helping me? Was she genuinely remorseful or playing a double game? I landed in San Diego at 2 a.m., the city's lights a stark contrast to the darkness closing in on my life. Elena met me at a run-down industrial park, the Nexus Tech warehouse looming like a fortress. "Liam's inside," she whispered, handing me a flashlight and a pepper spray canister. "But it's a setup. They know you're coming." We slipped through a rusted side door, the air thick with oil and metal. Shadows moved in the dark, and my flashlight caught Liam's face, pale, sweating, arguing with a suited man I recognized from Nexus Tech's board. "You promised me a cut," Liam shouted, clutching a USB drive. "My code." Before I could move, a steel beam crashed down, missing me by police assist by inches. Elena yanked me back, but footsteps thundered toward us. We sprinted into a maze of crates, bullets pinging off metal nearby. Liam froze, staring at me, the USB in his hand. "Liv?" he gasped, but the Nexus Tech goons were closing in. Elena fired her stun gun, dropping one, but another grabbed me, a gun to my temple. "Drop the spray," he snarled. I froze, my heart hammering as Liam bolted, the USB still in his grip. Elena tackled the goon, freeing me, and I chased Liam into the night, the USB my only hope. He vanished into an alley, but I cornered him, panting, furious. "Why, Liam?" I demanded. His eyes were wild, desperate. "You don't get it, Liv. You always win. I needed this." He raised the USB, then froze. A gunshot rang out, and he crumpled, blood blooming on his shoulder. I screamed, diving for cover as Nexus Tech's men closed in, the USB skittering across the pavement. Elena dragged Liam to safety while I grabbed the USB, my hands shaking. The goons retreated as sirens wailed in the distance. Elena's backup call had worked. At the hospital, Liam lay in a bed, his shoulder bandaged, his face ashen. "I didn't want to hurt you," he whispered. "Nextech offered me $5 million, 0 cents for the code." I was drowning, Leaf. I clutched the USB, my anger warring with grief. "You sold me out," I said, tears burning, "for a yacht and a payout." He looked away, shame in his eyes. "I'm sorry." It wasn't enough, but it was a crack in his armor, a chance for redemption or another lie. Back at my hotel, I plugged in the USB, confirming the code was intact, but my relief was short-lived. An email from Nexus Tech arrived. "Pay $1 million, 0 cents, or we release a copy of the code." They had a backup. My PI traced their server, but it was overseas, untouchable. I called Marcus, who warned that the SEC was closing in. I had 12 hours to pay or lose everything. I wired the money, my stomach twisting, knowing it might not be enough. The anonymous texter struck again. "They're not done with you. Watch your back." My paranoia spiked. Was Nexus Tech working alone, or was someone closer pulling the strings? Diane showed up at my hotel, her face a mask of tears. "Olivia, we're losing everything," she sobbed. "The bank's calling. Help us." I wanted to believe her, but Chloe's warning echoed. "They're using you." I showed Diane the USB. "Liam stole this. He almost destroyed my company. Why should I trust you?" She froze, then whispered, "We didn't know." But her eyes flickered. Guilt or deception? I sent her away, promising to talk after Thanksgiving. My heart ached, but I couldn't falter. In Hawaii, I collapsed on a Maui beach, the USB safe in my hotel vault. The turquoise waves soothed my frayed nerves, but the anonymous texts haunted me. At a resort bar, I met Sophie, a solo traveler with a warm smile and a story of her own, a family who'd bled her dry before she cut them off. "You're not alone," she said, her eyes kind. "But you have to choose yourself first." We hiked to a waterfall, trading stories of betrayal and resilience. Sophie's strength inspired me, a reminder that boundaries weren't betrayal, they were love. That night, as I walked to my room, a man in a black hoodie lunged from the shadows, a knife flashing. I sprayed him with pepper spray, my training with Elena kicking in, and he fled, dropping a burner phone. It had one message: "Nexus Tech says you're next." My blood ran cold. They'd followed me to Hawaii. I called Elena, who traced the phone to a local mercenary. Nexus Tech wasn't giving up. I moved to a new hotel, my nerves frayed, clutching the USB like a... Back in Seattle, the SEC summoned me. "We have evidence you leaked the code," the agent said, showing falsified emails from my account. My jaw dropped. Someone had framed me. I handed over the recovered USB, proving my innocence, but the damage was done. Clients were fleeing. I called a press conference exposing Nexus Tech's blackmail, but the anonymous texter warned, "They've got more on you." I dug deeper, finding a hidden email from Diane to a Nexus Tech exec, dated before the breach. My mother... My heart shattered. I flew to San Diego, confronting my family at the diner again. Diane admitted to tipping off Nexus Tech, thinking it would teach me a lesson for abandoning them. Thomas wept, claiming ignorance. Liam, still recovering, vowed to testify against Nexus Tech. Chloe revealed she'd recorded Liam's deal, handing me the evidence. I presented new terms. They'd take the mortgage, sell the house, or I'd evict them. Diane nodded, broken. Thomas squeezed my hand. "We'll make it right, Liv," Liam whispered. "I'll try." It wasn't perfect, but it was a start. Thanksgiving morning, Thomas called, his voice warm. "We're having a small dinner, Liv. No pressure, but you're welcome." Diane texted. "I'm sorry, I was wrong. I stayed in Hawaii, needing space, but their partial mortgage payment. A first dark hope. Back in Seattle, I rebuilt Quantum Labs, using Chloe's evidence to sue Nexus Tech, recovering millions. The anonymous texter was revealed as a Nexus Tech whistleblower, now my ally. I stood on my balcony, the Seattle skyline glowing, feeling lighter. I'd lost a family I thought I knew, but gained a truth worth fighting for. My worth wasn't my wallet. Boundaries were my freedom, and love, real love, meant letting go to grow.